Hello, Charlie TCG here, and welcome back to Looking Ahead, the series where I break down and analyse the meta, what's happening over in Japan, and how it will impact Taiwan. We just had the latest Champions League in Japan. Over 3,000 players were competing in this huge tournament where Charizard ended up not getting first place, second place, but also a top 4 spot, claiming nearly 3 of the 4 spots, where the other one goes to Gardevoir, which we're going to talk about a little bit today, and how Gardevoir can become so dominant in Japan. It's doing really well in the City League Championships, definitely we've seen a ton on the live stream for the Champions League. Plus, also, it's very, very powerful right now because of one new card that got revealed in our next set. Plus, we're also going to look at some brand new cards, as well as also the City League, sort of the meta share and how the meta is trying to evolve in this Crimson Haze expansion. So let's jump right into some of these brand new cards. So we have a brand new EX, Blissey EX, which I think is a really, really powerful tool for control. It has the ability Happy Switch, where you move a basic energy card from one of your Pokemon to another one. Now, I can see this being very powerful, like I said, in control, so you get to move around like with your basic fire energy from your Chi-Yu, from your Radiant Charizard, something even likes to your Bloodmoon Luna. This can be powerful, so you can easily pick it up and not be worried about any of the energies being discarded or having to reattach them. I think that could be very, very strong. The attack is mediocre, but having 300 HP makes it an absolutely hugely good partner for the likes of control. We have another brand new returning A-Spec, Scoop Up Cyclone, one of my favorite A-Specs right now, and I hope you picked up beforehand because it's definitely could be like masterful and really increase in price. You get to pick up one of your Pokemon and all cards attached to it and pop it into your hand. Now, this is very, very powerful. You get to reuse certain effects. Thing I like to get to reuse Radiant Charizard in a way, and also it's really powerful to control, picking up any of these very heavily damaged Pokemon and put them right into your hand. I can see this definitely a very, very powerful and impactful A-Spec moving forward. A new stadium card got revealed, Jamming Tower, which all tool cards in play, both yours and your opponent, have no effect. Now, this is very, very powerful. Talking about the rise of Gardevoir, this can definitely hinder a little bit by stopping the likes of the TM Evolution, as well as also the likes of Bravery Charm and Luxurious Cape. I think this could be a very, very powerful stadium. Also, shots of the likes of Maxim Belt, so could this be a new partner to be chucking in with Ximpao just to help it in that sort of matchup? And the last card we want to talk about is Frostlass, which has a pretty cool ability. Once during your turn, put 1 damage card on each Pokemon in play that have an ability, both yours and your opponent, except for Frostlass. Now, this is pretty powerful because I do believe that if you have these quite multiple Frostlass around, they do in fact stack, and they will carry on a lot during the Pokemon checkup. That can in theory go twice, like going from your turn back into your turn. So in theory, I do think this Frostlass could be really powerful. We need to have a more spread style deck, but definitely keep this in mind. Yes, it is a stage 1, but it does have 90 HP. And it's pretty good as well for that amazing ability. But now let's look at the City League, how the meta is trying to shift off. We have a little bit smaller graphic because there wasn't a ton of events because obviously the Champions League is happening. That's where a lot of big focus on. We can see here, Charizard is 22.2%. Charizard hasn't really dwindled away from this, and definitely after this weekend, I could definitely see his receipts definitely skyrocket. But we can see the likes of Gardevoir constantly being consistent and being at 11 to 12%. I think it is a very, very strong because unfair damage really made Gardevoir really stand out, really giving it back into the game a bit. Your opponent kind of like goes a bit ahead. You can get them down to 2 cards, potentially even do a counter catch or gust effect, and then all of a sudden you can like claw your way back into a much more dominant board state. Lugia is definitely, and Lost Box is definitely much, much stronger. I think the likes of Bloodmoon Luna has done wonders for these archetypes. It's very, very powerful Pokemon, high HP, and can dish a ton of damage. Ximpao and Giratina have definitely shifted down a little bit in popularity, it seems. I do think that Ximpao isn't doing as well right now in the Crimson Haze meta game. We might see a bit of an increase when we get the Twilight Mask, when we get the whole set, mask will change when that whole set is revealed in just a few weeks' time. And even the likes of the Turbo Iron Hand is actually getting a little bit more popularity than the likes of the Iron Thorns, which actually did in fact get a top 16 placement, which we're going to talk about right now. We can have a look at the results here. And I saw online there was about 3,000 players. But again, next week we're going to kind of talk about a little bit more detail, have the exact numbers, the exact sort of list as well. And we can see here, first and second place does go to Charizard, and even top 4 as well, Charizard, but even a Gardevoir scraping in as well. It's a very interesting Gardevoir. And if you haven't seen the list, I actually posted a short for it yesterday, so check it out. The link will either be in the description or just check it on my channel. The rest of the top 4 does go to a Turbo Hands, as well as also a Lost Zone box. Plus the rest of the top 16 goes to 1 Iron Thorns, 3, I repeat, 3 Block Clack, so Control was hit there in a huge storm, a Golden Go, and a Lost Box. Again, some of these things I did find from looking at Twitter, looking at the stream, so about most of these are pretty much correct. But again, we're going to get a clearer picture in the next couple of days. One thing that really big stands out for me right now is we can see there is a ton of Charizard, but also control is being really strong. And noticing when we go look at the list, we can see some very key cards, especially from this new metagame has been revealed. Bloodmoon, Luna, and the likes of Unfair Stamp were in plethora in multiple ones of these archetypes. So definitely something to be considerate if you're thinking about testing for NEIC, or I know it's very, very far away, or just thinking about what could be impactful Twilight Masquerade. Keep those two cards in mind because they are incredibly powerful. I do like we see some new archetypes like the Iron Thorns, which we're definitely going to talk about, which is a really, really fun, interesting, sort of like controlling archetype, is slowing down these likes of the Charizard and Golden Ghost by making sure they can't use any of their abilities. Because they have multiple ones in play, they have to use like a cancelling clone to go through, which these decks don't really play. Seeing the Golden Go in top 16 is quite a fun surprise. This deck has definitely had a lot of hype going into the metagame. I feel like it's been on a similar level to where Shin Power is, but seeing this get top 16 result, that's pretty nice as well. So without further ado, let's actually jump in to see what these lists actually were. Kind of talk about the impact this could actually have to Japanese meta moving forward. So we can see this winning list here, and we can see it straight away a similarity from the likes of Thorns. The reason why I say that, well, we can see there's a power pad, we can see there's Professor Churro and a 1/1 Bibarel with that 2/2 pitcher. It is showing the importance of how our metagame is even affecting the likes of Japan, which I actually been very much a big fan of it. And you can see there is one very, very key piece in this card, which a lot of decks have kind of like picked up. Unfair Stamp in Charizard is super, super powerful. You could team that with the likes of a Boss's Orders. You can easily search out for the likes of Arvin as well as Pidgeot. There's so many things about why Unfair Stamp can be really, really impactful in Charizard. Pretty much as soon as they take a knockout, you can all of a sudden shuffle into you draw 5 and your opponent draws 2. If you have a Bibarel setup, if you have Pidgeot setup, you have nearly everything to keep you going in the game. I think this can make Charizard an absolutely huge threat moving forward to the metagame. Another key card as well, which you could see here, is do play the likes of the Eerie. Eerie obviously gets rid of any of these pesky sort of item cards where your opponent may have, can make your Shin Power matchup, sometimes the mirror matchup, just a little bit better. Removing those key like Rare Candy or SCRs is very, very impactful. A Roxanne as well, I think, is nearly a must now for Charizard. Kind of like making sure that the opponent knows exactly when they're going to take that Magic 3 prize card, because you can easily Roxanne them, even having Unfair Stamp. That's two very, very impactful cards, which you're not going to be hindered at all from likes of an Iono, but you can still have a really good plethora of cards to really deal with, and maybe rely on a Pidgeot EX for that, to searching for a card later on. I really like this winning list of Charizard. You can literally, there's only one difference right now from our sort of format, and I think that just shows how powerful this Charizard really is. And it ended up beating this Charizard here, which again is a little bit different to where we're seeing. Reason why I say that, well, it does play the TM Devolution, does play the Vitality Band, but also Hero Escape. Two very different aspects I've definitely seen in this sort of metagame. Hero Escape is definitely built a lot for the mirror match. Why is that? Well, Charizard with 430 HP cannot be one-hit KO'd by pretty much anything in a metagame. It is very, very hard. You could chuck on a Pidgeot EX, forcing them to like find a Lost Vacuum to remove it. Not many lists are playing Lost Vacuum, so I do think having that Hero Escape is a pretty impactful one. Does still play the Power Pad as well as also the Churro, so you do have a good answer to control. Also does play, obviously, both ones do play the Collapse Stadium to remove any of the likes of that Rotom and Luminion. This one does play 2 Rotons, a little bit greedy, but because you are still playing the Luminion V, but I still think it's a good inclusion to have. Again, we're seeing that likes of a bit similar, seeing that Roxanne, seeing the Eerie, seeing the likes of the Forest of Stone. I do think this is a very powerful Charizard. Plus, both lists do play the Mist Energy, really respecting likes of Rory Moon, because Lost Box is, as you saw, it got top 8 and top 16. Definitely something to be constantly considering about, even likes of Giratina as well. You don't want to take these easy losses in certain rounds as well. So having that Mist Energy is a very, very key piece to the Charizard sort of matchup. Now, if we look now at the top 4 Gardevoir who actually did get 3rd place, as you know, I talked about it a little bit, and I'm a huge fan of how this Gardevoir list works. You do play likes of a Fluttermane and Klefki, because I think these are really, really impactful. Likes of a Iron Leaves can Iron Thorns absolutely shuts off this archetype. Not being able to use Gardevoir's psychic erasability is really, really detrimental to any of your setup. It's not like the likes of Charizard, which can slowly power up, or even like Shin Power, which you can kind of afford to still not play likes of Shivery Chill. Gardevoir literally shuts off from the likes of Iron Thorns. So kind of like having the likes of a Klefki and the likes of Fluttermane shutting off the ability is really, really key. Plus, these both also shut off the likes of Radiant Greninja and sometimes even likes of Comfy. So again, it's really, really impactful in other sort of matchups. She might in fact be a little bit hardened for. Does play that Unfair Stamp, so we are seeing this as a very, very impactful A-spec. A lot of people are kind of worried about it, but we are seeing it's in winning lists, it's in top 4 lists. Unfair Stamp, I think, is a very, very powerful archetype and a really, really good card to kind of play around with. Doesn't play absolutely any Rare Candy because it's really focused on the TM evolution. Again, in your curly, something like even your Gardevoir, it's very, very early on. You also don't want to have your Gardevoir out constantly in turn. You don't want to give up these 2 prize liability. So having that Professor Churro is really, really key. Damage pump as well, the more I think about it, the more I think it works so well in this brand new Gardevoir deck. Because you're not playing that many energy cards, you might have a lot of energies built around, so damage comes around from kind of attaching energies from Saki Embrace. So kind of like moving them away, kind of getting a fresh Pokemon. So you're healing a bit more with Gardevoir, so it's not going to be very easy to be KO'd. And then also I think it's really powerful because you can pair up the likes of a Screamtail and some of even a Drifloon with that sort of energy, sorry, it's base attack without attaching lots of energies. I think this is a very, very fun Gardevoir list. Potentially, we could see this Gardevoir list be adapted as well into a brand new format. We are seeing Gardevoir get a lot of love right now, even our format as well, getting that bubbling out in top 8 at EUIC last week. So I do think that Gardevoir is definitely going to be on the rise and how dominant it's going to show in the rest of the metagame. Now let's talk about two other decks as well, but looking at different placements. Lost Soapbox, this is the top 8 list. We can see here that it is very much similar to how we're seeing most Lost Zone decks kind of like focus. We are seeing the likes of a Bloodmoon Ursaluna, which I absolutely love. I think it's one of my favorite cards, which is in this format, obviously by the likes of Shenpao. Just having that amazing ability, which is the energy cost is reduced by the amount of bench Pokemon your opponent has, plus also to hitting for 240 damage. And obviously can't attack again, but you play a ton of switching cards, potentially you might be attacking for free or even 1 or 2 energy attachments. It is a very, very powerful card. Plus also having this in the same deck as Radiant Greninja is so strong. Think of it like Radiant Charizard plus Radiant Greninja. You always like thinking, which one do you play? Well, as I say, why not both? This Bloodmoon Ursaluna makes a huge, really good package. I think Iron Bundle is a nice inclusion, making sure that you can really capitalize on multiple of your other attacking. Bloodmoon Ursaluna, likes of Iron Hands, whatever Royal Moon, it really, really helps capitalize on that. I do think the Mist Energy is pretty powerful, stopping likes of a Royal Moon from absolutely one-hit KOing likes of a Bloodmoon Ursaluna. I do think that's a nice inclusion. Also stopping likes of Sableye as well can really help you in Mirror Match. The rest of it, we're kind of seeing very much bog standard of how we're seeing Lost and really kind of being played for a bit. If we just look at this top 16 list, it is definitely just a little bit more different, focusing on having the likes of an Iron Thorns in this one. Iron Thorns, I think, is a very nice attacking option because you also have the energy protection that put it onto the bench, powering up the likes of your Raikou or even the likes of your Iron Hands EX as well. But also, like I said, its ability, it can really help slow down the likes of any of these rule box Pokemon. This shuts off the likes of Radiant Greninja, as well as also the likes of the even Bloodmoon Ursaluna in the Mirror Match, plus also obviously Charizard and Shenpao. I think it's a very, very powerful one. If we see how strong, if we see 4 of the pretty much all 4 decks really relied on rulebox abilities. So Iron Thorns could definitely capitalize in play. We are seeing the Turbo Iron Hands deck did play the Iron Thorns. We see this list play Iron Thorns, even the likes of the Turbo or just straight Iron Thorns list, which we are going to hopefully talk about very soon. We can see how powerful and dominant this one card it really is to the metagame. The rest of it, again, is very, very similar to how we're seeing most of the archetypes kind of built for Lost Box, but I do think it's a really nice inclusion overall. Now let's look at some of the Block-Lax decks as well. We see some of the inclusion in this one. Obviously, we see the Hero's Cape, but also the likes of that Bloodmoon Ursaluna. Obviously, this gives a very good attacking option. I feel like this is where Block-Lax is kind of evolving into, using that as attacking in the late game. Kind of mill out your opponent for most of resources, using likes of the Erica, using likes of the Misfortune Sisters, Team ES Chill, even Eri, kind of get them up from anything they want, and then potentially take all of your remaining prize cards from the likes of the Bloodmoon Ursaluna, Radiant Charizard, and sometimes even use a Chi-Yu to mill out your opponent's deck. I think it's a very, very nice one, and I really like how Block-Lax is coming to evolve. We are seeing, again, it's still very similar in the style archetype, but this one here doesn't rely on the likes of the Bloodmoon Ursaluna, but still has the likes of the Chi-Yu to really mill out your opponent's deck, but it does play the likes of a Mantai and a Morwell to really trap any of your opponent's Pokemon, which have been in their discard pile. I really like how Block-Lax is kind of evolving. I believe the other one was the Pidgeot build, but again, I couldn't find the exact list right now, but I think it's a very, very interesting build as well. Getting this top 16, I think it's a really, really nice thing to see how powerful this Block-Lax have become. And here is the archetype, which I'm really, really excited to talk about. Iron Thorns. We can see here, it's a deck which just plays 4 Pokemon. This reminds me a ton of the old style stall decks, which will only play 4 copies of things like the 4 copies of Wailord EX and just about it, and you play a ton of other cards trying to disrupt your opponent. The idea is that when you shut off any of your opponent's abilities from having that ability as well, to stop off the likes of the Gardevoirs, the Shenpaos, the Charizards, and even the likes of the Lugias as well. Try and slow down your opponent in every single way. Try and like capitalize by removing most of their energies from the Crushing Hammer to really help in that Charizard matchup, and then having likes of the Erie and Iono to really disrupt your opponent as much as possible. One thing I do like the TM Energize, because it makes sure that your Iron Thorns can really power up a lot quicker. Yes, you do play a double colorless and a single energy attachment, so it doesn't require that much. But the Turbo Energize makes sure you can really capitalize and stream for your attackers and get them all set up. Because the ideal board state is you want to just have nearly all of them with the the Future Booster Energy Capture and kind of retreat in between them and moving the energies around. So you're always going to have that instant healing effect by constantly changing your Iron Thorns in the active spot. I think it's a very fun deck. I think this was definitely a bit of a meme, I thought, at the start, but seeing it get top 16, I feel like similar to like the Great Tusk, we should definitely take it a bit more seriously. It could see an increase in play in Japan, and definitely a really, really fun archetype to really test around with, especially going into this brand new format. So kind of looking ahead, it's Gardevoir now on the rise. We've seen it get that top 4 placement. It was appeared a ton on the stream, and I really do think that Unfair Stamp has really made Gardevoir just a little bit more of a stronger play. We're definitely going to see how the rest of the meta, like the Mask of Change, really does affect how Gardevoir is going to kind of play around. If Charizard are going to increase again, we saw it win, we saw it get second place, we saw it get top 4. I think we saw it get a few more top 8. I believe it might have got top 8. I can't really recall it that well, but we are seeing Charizard actually did very, very well at this tournament. It's already going to be a 20% meta get, even with us as well. Could it still increase in popularity? And will we see like the winning list be played a lot? I generally think we could see Charizard again increase in plays by seeing how dominant it was in the meta game. We've seen nearly every single aspect under the sun be played in Charizard X. So what exactly is the best one? Is Unfair Stamp the right one? Is Hero's Cape enough to really help you in Mirror Match? Or is this sometimes Counter Capture and Maxim Bell just the best way for the efficiency? And like I said, will these results really impact the meta game? I generally think so. I think we are going to see that rise of Gardevoir. I think we are going to see a more increase in the Unfair Stamp in Charizard, and Bloodmoon, as soon as it really solidifies itself, is one of the strongest new EXs right now on the block. So hope you guys did enjoy this looking ahead video. A little bit shorter than normal, but there isn't a ton of good results for you to talk about. I'm really excited next week that hopefully we're going to get like the day 1 and day 2 meta percentages, as well as also the rest of the archetypes. So I'm really, really excited to talk about that next week. There also was the expanded event as well, so hopefully I'm going to make that video for this week, and I hope you guys do enjoy that content. It's been a while since we talked about expanded, so let's actually see a result, one of the biggest expanded events so far. I'll see you guys in a few days' time for another video. Bye for now.